To be honest, I had absolutely zero interest in this Huawei Pura 90 Pro Max at first, because as everyone knows, the processor it uses is actually inferior to the previous generations, the Mate 80 Pro Max. And another thing, because the Pura series lacks both ultrasonic fingerprint scanning and 3D face unlock, leaving you with only a really clunky side-mounted sensor and basic face recognition, I've never been as interested in it as I am in the Mate series. Plus, the Mate 80 Pro Max has seen such a massive price drop that a brand new unit is now around the same price, or even cheaper. But anyway, the Pura 90 Max is already being discounted by third-party sellers, so I picked one up, the kind that someone else had just activated, so it was much cheaper than the list price. So this time, I'm really curious to see how that first ever 100 megapixel sensor actually performs. Honestly, when I first got my hands on this device and compared it to the X300 Ultra with its highly refined tuning, I found it actually outperforms it in many scenarios. I was really surprised by the 4K video performance, specifically the 10x 4K. The Pura 90 Pro Max is truly something else. I honestly think this is the first time I've seen such impressive video recording on a Huawei phone. I mean, in the past, Huawei's video quality on many models really wasn't great. But this time, the performance is excellent, especially the clarity of the telephoto recording. Damn, it's just incredible, I have to say. Anyway, enough talk. Let's get straight to the sample footage from both phones. I think I'll skip over the ultra-wide and main cameras since they are quite different. Let's focus our attention on the telephoto lens instead. The Vivo's ultra-wide is clearly the superior one. Wouldn't you agree? I did miss the 24mm, but the Vivo takes the win at 35 and 50mm. Now, for the telephoto, one is a 4x zoom while the other is a 3x zoom. Both of them perform quite well when shooting at their native focal length. Huawei's sharpening is a bit heavy, but I must admit the overall clarity is quite solid. At 10x zoom, both devices look pretty good. At 20x, Vivo performs slightly better, but at 30x, despite heavier sharpening, Huawei clearly retains more detail. Look at this small text. It captures so much detail, while the Vivo doesn't. It's quite obvious. At the same time, this dual-layer OLED screen on the Huawei is incredibly useful for outdoor photography. The clarity of the preview frame completely crushes the Vivo. It is just so clear. I hope to see this dual-layer OLED screen on more flagship phones from other brands by the second half of the year. Let's take a look at the high-resolution performance. The ultra-wide angle is nothing to write home about, and the main camera isn't much to talk about either, whether it's the Vivo or the Lianyi. The focal lengths are different anyway. The Huawei telephoto is also 100mm OP, but I forgot to switch to that mode, so I ended up taking the shot at 50mm. Still, the clarity at 50mm is excellent. I'm not sure what's going on with the Vivo today. In this cloudy weather, the photos look a bit hazy. Let's head indoors to check out their 100mm telephoto performance. This time I've enabled 100mm on both. After switching over to Lianyi, hey, take a look. The Huawei's focal length has actually changed. It seems like Lianyi is able to utilize the entire sensor. And at 4 times the normal, it will crop to 96mm. As we zoom in, wow, the clarity on the Huawei is seriously impressive. It really is top-notch quality. Now let's take a closer look at these indoor sample shots. As for the ultra-wide, well, there's really not much to say about that one. At 24mm, the Huawei definitely comes out on top, whereas for the 35 and 50mm shots, the Vivo is clearly better. 85 versus 96. Both performed very well. Then for this 10x shot, in this scene, the Vivo is slightly better. Then at night, for the ultra-wide angle, the Vivo is definitely better. At 24mm, the Huawei is better. At 35mm, well, it switched back again. Let's just go through these quickly. Let's take a closer look at the 50mm lens as well. Moving to the telephoto, both devices perform very well indeed. At 10x zoom, the Vivo has a slight edge as it captures small text quite clearly. At 20x, it's the same story, with the Vivo winning by just a slight margin. That's about it for the photos. Honestly, this is my first time using Huawei's 100 megapixel sensor, and it has already surprised me. Its 30x zoom performance and the high-resolution 100mm shots are both better than the Vivo. However, in some scenarios, it's slightly worse than the Vivo. Let's take a look at their video recording performance. I forgot to record the daytime footage with the ultra-wide and main cameras, so I went straight to 10x zoom to show you the difference. Look at how big it is. Huawei's 10x video recording is seriously impressive this time. Look at this clarity. I'm pausing the video now so you can see it for yourself. The difference is truly massive. Wow, this really, I'm genuinely surprised. I have to say, I think Huawei is so impressive now. The video tuning, looking at the night video, for the ultra-wide angle, Vivo is definitely better, right? The gap is actually quite significant. Huawei's is just a standard ultra-wide shot. It's pretty much just like this. Also, since the main cameras have different focal lengths, they can't be directly compared. Huawei's main camera performs quite well. Let's look at the clarity and stability. Both are quite good. Now, looking at the telephoto performance, Huawei's clarity is indeed better, with less image noise, especially in the shadows. Wait, look at this. At 10x zoom, you can see Huawei's clarity is still better than the Vivo. So, this Pura 90 Pro Max really surprised me with its 200 megapixel telephoto lens, especially for video recording. Honestly, for the first time using this, it performs so well that I really have to give Huawei a huge thumbs up. But it's a real shame that, just like I mentioned at the start of the video, this Pura 90 Pro Max has some other flaws that make me not particularly fond of it. If only it had 3D face recognition. But I think that's something only the Mate series has, right? It seems they don't really want to include it in the Pura series. I'm not sure if Huawei is unable to use ultrasonic fingerprint sensors. It would be great if they could just include one. Overall, I think the imaging capabilities of this Pura 90 Pro Max, well, I would definitely give it a very good score. At the same time, its pricing this time is, how should I put it, relatively speaking, quite, although many people say that this Pro Max is essentially the equivalent of the previous generation's Pro, in terms of imaging capabilities, it's far superior to the previous Pro. Also, the screen this time uses a dual-layer OLED display. So, it's a bit unfair to just compare this Pro Max to the previous Pro or Pro Plus. Overall, if you can find it on third-party channels for several hundred or even 1,000 less than the current price, then this phone is definitely worth getting.